They were told they were fighting Supermen, the elite, Aryan soldiers of the Third Reich. But when American GIs crossed into Germany, they weren't met by warriors. They were met by 1 5-year-old boys and 6 0-year-old men, and they still had to pull the trigger. November 16th, 1944. A shell-blasted ridge overlooking the village of Gressenich, just inside the German border. The rain is a physical presence. It's not a drizzle, but a cold, persistent, miserable soaking that has been falling for 3 straight weeks. It turns the shattered landscape of the Hürtgen Forest into a primordial soup of mud, splintered pines, and human refuse. For Private First Class John Rourke, 19 years old and part of K Company, 112th Infantry Regiment, 28th Division, the world has shrunk to this patch of German mud. His knuckles are white as he grips the wet woodstock of his M1 Garand. He and the 5 other men left in his squad are huddled behind the meagre cover of a shattered log bunker, built by the Germans they are now trying to kill. The air whines. It's not the sharp personal crack of small arms, but the deep, chest-thumping whoomph of their own 155mm artillery, flying high overhead to pound the German positions on the next ridge. Their platoon sergeant, Iron Mike Crusade, a man who still carries a scar from a bayonet in Sicily, shouts over the din. His face is a mask of mud and exhaustion. Listen up. This ain't France. You forget everything you thought you knew. This is Germany. We are hitting the Siegfried Line, the Westwall. He spits a brown stream of tobacco juice into the rain. These aren't conscripts from Poland or garrison troops from Paris. These are men defending their homes. They know this ground. They've had 5 years to prepare these defences. Every pillbox, every trench, every Maschinengewehr 42 is placed for one reason: to kill you. Rourke glances at Private Miller, who's hugging his bar as if it's a lover. They've all heard the stories. They've all seen the propaganda, both their own and the enemy's. The German soldier, the Lancer. He is the professional, the Aryan Superman. He's the man who conquered Europe in 6 weeks, who fought the Russians to a standstill in the snows of Stalingrad, who held Normandy with a fanatic's grip. Rourke's own division, the 28th, has been bled white in the Hürtgen, chewed up by an enemy that is skilled, ruthless, and seems to be everywhere at once. They are masters of the interlocking ambush, the pre-sighted mortar strike, the brutal, close-quarters counterattack. Every GI crossing into Germany is expecting to fight a wall of hardened, 10-year veterans, elite SS fanatics who would rather die than surrender. They are expecting Supermen. The artillery barrage lifts. The silence that follows is more terrifying than the noise. It's a vacuum, waiting to be filled with screams. "Okay, K Company." Crusade screams, his voice cracking. "On your feet! Gas! Gas! Move! Move! Move!" It's a false alarm, a habit, but it gets them moving. Rourke bursts from cover, his 60-pound pack feeling like 200. He's running downhill, slipping in the grey mud, towards the first line of German trenches. The world explodes. CRACKRIP. The sound is like a giant tearing a mile-long sheet of canvas. It's an MG-42, the Hitler's buzzsaw. Rourke dives face-first into a shell crater, the mud filling his mouth. He hears Miller's BAR open up, a steady, reassuring thump, thump, thump. "Pinned!" Someone shrieks. "Pillbox! 12 o'clock!" Rourke peers over the crater's lip. Through the rain, he sees it. A low, concrete bunker, a Tobruk pit, its firing slit spitting yellow flame. Crusade is yelling, but Rourke can't hear him. He just sees the tracers, green and white, crisscrossing the field. "Rourke! Miller! Flank it! We'll cover!" It's a death sentence. Rourke and Miller low crawl, dragging their rifles through the mud and debris. They hear shouting in German. It sounds harsh, desperate. Miller finds a good spot and lays down suppressive fire, his tracers hammering the concrete. Rourke gets to the blind side of the pillbox. His heart is a drum against his ribs. He pulls the pin on a pineapple grenade, the spoon flying off. He counts 1001, 1002, and lobs it through the firing slit. The grenade detonates with a muffled wet thump. The MG-42 stops. Rourke doesn't wait. He charges the steel door at the back, kicks it open, and plunges into the smoky darkness. M1 raised, finger on the trigger, ready to empty the clip into a squad of hardened Waffen-SS. The bunker is thick with cordite and the smell of blood. He blinks, his eyes adjusting, and he freezes. There are no Supermen. Slumped over the massive, belt-fed machine gun is a boy. He can't be more than 16. His thin, pale face is covered in soot, his eyes wide open in surprise. He's wearing a Wehrmacht tunic that is 3 sizes too big, the sleeves rolled up. Next to him, holding a pistol he never got to fire, is an old man. His hair is snow-white, his face a web of wrinkles. He wears a tan civilian armband. Volkssturm. Rourke just stands there, the rain dripping from his helmet. The professional, elite soldier he was terrified of is a child and a grandfather. He lowers his rifle, a sick, cold feeling washing over him. This wasn't a battle. It was an execution. Sergeant Crusade stomps into the bunker, his .45 Thompson dangling from one hand. He's already seen. He looks at Rourke, who is still staring at the dead boy, then at the old man. The sergeant's hard face, etched with lines from Sicily, Anzio, and Normandy, seems to crack for just a second. "Rourke, get your head straight," he says, his voice rough but lacking its usual bite. "Check 'em for papers. Grab the Maschinengewehr. We're moving." Rourke nods, his hands numb as he unbuttons the boy's oversized tunic. He pulls out a soldbook, a paybook. The kid's name is Karl Hecker, born 1929. He was 15 years old. The old man, Gustav Pfeiffer, was born in 1884. He was 60. Rourke finds a letter in the old man's pocket, a simple note from a daughter in a nearby town, hoping he could get some bread. The other GIs are moving down the trench line. The firing has stopped, replaced by shouts in English and German. "Hände hoch, kommen Sie raus." They find 2 more defenders. One is another boy, maybe 17, trying to surrender. He's shaking so hard he drops the Panzerfauster, simple, single-shot, anti-tank rocket he was clutching. The other is a man in a mailman's uniform, armed with an ancient, bolt-action Gewehr 98 from the First World War. He's dead. This isn't the Wehrmacht. This isn't the 1st SS Panzer Division. This is a collection of children and grandfathers. This is what was defending the vaunted, terrifying Westwall. What Rourke and K Company are witnessing is the brutal, desperate endgame of the Third Reich. Just weeks before, on October 18th, 1944, a date deliberately chosen to mark the anniversary of the 1813 Battle of Leipzig, Adolf Hitler had signed a decree. With the Wehrmacht shattered in France, bled white in Italy, and being steamrolled by the Red Army in the east, a new army was to be raised. It was called the Volkssturm, the People's Storm, or Home Guard. The decree, issued by SS boss Heinrich Himmler, was simple and total. All able-bodied German males between the ages of 16 and 60, who were not already in the military, were to be conscripted. It was, in effect, a national suicide pact. The propaganda, churned out by Joseph Goebbels, painted a heroic picture. The German people, rising as one, just as they had against Napoleon, to defend the sacred soil of the fatherland. They would fight with fanatical determination in their own streets, behind their own garden walls. They would be the werewolves who would tear the invaders apart. The reality, as Private Rourke is now seeing, was a tragedy. These soldiers were given almost no training. They were clerks, farmers, streetcar conductors, high school teachers, and shop owners. Most were issued a single, cheap, black and red armband to distinguish them from civilian's flimsy defense against a war crime charge. Their weapons were a joke. While some got leftover rifles from captured stocks, French, Czech, even Russian many were issued crude, last-ditch weapons. The Volkssturmgewehr, or People's Assault Rifle, was a stamped metal nightmare, barely more than a pipe that fired a bullet, designed to be produced in village workshops. But they did have one weapon that terrified the GIs, the Panzerfaust, This simple, disposable rocket launcher was incredibly effective against tanks. And, unlike a complex machine gun or an artillery piece, a 4-year-old boy, hiding in a basement window, could use it. This is what the GIs are beginning to understand. The enemy is no longer a professional, but that doesn't make him safe. The Superman is gone, replaced by the desperate child. And a desperate child, told that the American gangsters and Jewish Bolsheviks are coming to murder his mother and sister, will pull the trigger. Crusade sticks his head out of the bunker. "All clear," he yells. "Let's move. We've got a village to take." Rourke slings his M1 over his shoulder. He steps out of the bunker, back into the driving November rain. The shock is wearing off, replaced by a strange, hollow feeling. They aren't fighting an army anymore. They are fighting a nation. An old, sick, and dying nation, but one that is being forced to fight to the last child. The Battle of Germany has begun. March 5th, 1945. The town of Rheinberg, less than 4 miles from the Rhine River itself. The world is no longer mud and splinters. It is brick dust, shattered glass, and the smell of coal smoke mixed with ruptured sewer lines. Private Rourke, now a veteran of 19, doesn't even notice the cold. He's part of a different army now. The green replacements that landed in Normandy are almost all gone. The 28th Division was mauled in the Hürtgen, rested, and thrown back into the fight. Now, as part of Operation Grenade, they are pushing through the last German towns west of the Great River. K Company is clearing houses. A Sherman tank, its 75mm gun covered in soot, grinds slowly down the Hauptstrasse, its cannon firing point-blank into any window that shows resistance. Whoomp crash. Brick dust billows into the air. "Second squad, take the apothecary." Sergeant Crusade yells, his voice now a permanent, gravelly rasp. "Rourke, Miller, you're with me. We're taking this Gasthaus." They've learned the hard lessons. You don't knock, you don't ask. You kick the door, throw a grenade, and spray the room before the smoke clears. This is mousetrap fighting. Every house is a potential fortress, every basement a tomb. Rourke kicks in the thick oak door of the inn. It swings open into a dark, beer-smelling common room. Miller, still lugging his BAR, dives to the right. Crusade and Rourke go left. "Clear! Clear!" They stack up at the base of the stairs. They can hear movement above, a scuffling, a panicked whisper. "Upstairs!" Crusade gestures with his Thompson. "Miller, cover the hall." Rourke goes first. He takes the stairs 2 at a time, his M1 safety off. He reaches the landing, a hallway with 4 doors. He nods to Crusade. Rourke takes the first door on the right. He raises his boot, aims for the knob, and splinters the wood. He plunges in, yelling, "Hände hoch! Surrender!" The room is a small bedroom. The wallpaper has cartoon animals on it. Huddled in the corner, behind an overturned bed, are 2 of them. They are boys. But these are not the sad, conscripted old men of the Volkssturm. These are Hitlerjugend, Hitler youth. They are wearing the standard brown shirt, black shorts despite the freezing cold, and the red and white swastika armband. The one on the left can't be more than 14. He's trying to aim a Karabiner 98K, a Mauser rifle that is almost as tall as he is. His hands are shaking, but his eyes are wide with pure, undiluted hatred. The second boy, maybe 15, is clutching 3 potato masher steel hand grenade 24 seconds. "Put them down." Rourke screams, his own rifle centered on the 4-year-old's chest. "It's over. Krieg kaputt." The 4-year-old fumbles with the bolt action. He's trying to chamber a round. The 5-year-old, his face pale and pimpled, looks at his friend, then at Rourke. He makes his choice, with a high-pitched shriek. "Für den Führer! For the Führer!" He unscrews the cap on one of the grenades, pulling the porcelain bead and the cord. Rourke flinches. He's frozen. This is a child's bedroom. He hears the sound of tearing canvas behind him. BRRRRAP. Sergeant Crusade steps into the room, his Thompson smoking. The 2 boys are slammed back against the wall, their small bodies perforated. The live grenade rolls harmlessly onto the flowered rug. Crusade calmly walks over, picks up the grenade, and looks at it. 5-second fuse, he mutters. He tosses it out the shattered window, where it explodes in the street below. Rourke leans against the doorframe, breathing heavily. He feels sick. Don't, Crusade says, not looking at him. Don't you dare. They were just... Rourke starts. They were just about to kill you, Rourke, Crusade snaps. You see the armband? Hitlerjugend? They're worse than the SS. The SS, they're professionals. They'll surrender if they're cornered. These pups, they've been spoon-fed this glory crap since they could walk. They're the werewolves. They're the ones who will shoot you in the back. They'll booby-trap their own dead. You never hesitate. You understand me? Rourke nods, but the image of the boy's face, twisted in a fanatic's rage, is burned into his mind. This was the new reality. The Nazi regime, in its death throes, had unleashed its children. These were not conscripts, they were true believers. Across Germany, American tank columns were being ambushed by 3-year-olds with Panzerfaust tank fists. These boys would hide in a ditch, wait until a 30-ton Sherman was almost on top of them, and fire their one-shot rocket into its thin side armor. They would almost certainly die in the process, either from the tank's machine gun or the backblast of their own weapon. But they did it. The GIs had to adapt. The shock was gone, replaced by a grim, soul-crushing policy. If it wore a uniform, or even just an armband, and it was holding a weapon, you shot it. Age was irrelevant. The myth of the Aryan Superman, the tall, blonde, professional soldier, had evaporated. The GIs had expected to fight warriors. Instead, they were forced to become child killers just to stay alive. March 7th, 1945. The bluffs overlooking the Rhine River, near the town of Remagen. Private Rourke is no longer K Company. The 28th Bloody Bucket Division has been shattered and reconstituted so many times he's lost count. After the hell of the Hürtgen and the Ardennes, he'd been transferred, a seasoned replacement, to the 27th Armoured Infantry Battalion, part of the 9th Armoured Division. Now, he's riding on the outside of an M3 half-track, his feet dangling near the cold steel fender. They haven't slept in 48 hours. They are part of Combat Command B, a fast-moving spearhead that has just broken through the last remnants of German resistance in the Eifel Hills. Their orders are simple. Get to the Rhine. Just get there. Every GI knows the Rhine is the last, great natural barrier. It's the sacred river of Germany. They expect it to be defended by the last, best divisions the Reich can muster. They expect every bridge to be a fortress, and then a pile of rubble. The half-track lurches to a halt at the edge of a high gorge. Rourke hops off, his knees aching. Sergeant Crusade, who somehow managed to get transferred with him, is already up with the lieutenants, binoculars raised. "Holy mother," a lieutenant whispers. Rourke moves up, grabbing his M1. He looks down, and he sees it. It's the Ludendorff Bridge. A massive, twin-towered railroad bridge, stretching like a black steel spine across the wide, slate-grey waters of the Rhine. And it is standing. It's an impossible sight. A gift. They didn't blow it, Crusade says, his voice rough with disbelief. The Krauts didn't blow the damned bridge. A single, frantic artillery shell, probably an 88mm, screams overhead and explodes uselessly in the town behind them. The order comes down almost instantly. It's not a complex tactical plan. It's a yell. Go. Take the bridge. Take the goddamn bridge. There's no time for finesse. It's a mad dash. Rourke is running with a platoon of GIs, down the hill, through the streets of Remagen, towards the western ramp. German machine gun fire opens up from the towers on the far side. It's heavy, but it feels inaccurate, panicked. Ping, ping, zing. Bullets spark off the cobblestones. They're gonna blow it, someone screams. They're gonna blow it while we're on it. They reach the ramp. A few German soldiers, regular Wehrmacht, are trying to surrender. The GIs just run past them. Then, a massive boom shakes the entire structure. A plume of black smoke erupts from the eastern ramp. The bridge shudders, it sags, but it holds. The main charge, it seems, has failed. Go, go, go. Rourke is running on the railroad ties. The Rhine flows fast and cold 50 feet below him. It's a 300-yard sprint into the mouth of hell. He sees the black-uniformed German engineers on the far side, desperately trying to light secondary fuses, some just shooting at the GIs with pistols. The Hitler's buzzsaw, the MG-42, opens up from a tower. Men go down. Rourke doesn't stop. He fires his M1 from the hip, not aiming, just sending lead across the river. He makes it. He's one of the first. He dives behind a steel girder on the east bank, his lungs burning, his hands shaking. He rams a fresh clip into his Garand. Ping. He and 3 other GIs are the first American infantry across the Rhine. The elite counterattack begins 2 minutes later. Rourke peers around the girder, expecting a Tiger tank to round the corner, expecting a platoon of SS stormtroopers with flamethrowers. Instead, he sees a civilian bus. It's been crudely spray-painted in camouflage patterns. It screeches to a halt 100 yards away, and the doors fly open. Out pours the army. It's a rabble. 10 old men in Volkssturm armbands, most of them carrying rifles Rourke recognizes from World War I museums. They are led by a man in a Nazi Party brown shirt uniform who is waving a pistol and screaming. Following them are about 20 boys. Hitlerjugend. Some have rifles, but most are just carrying Panzerfaust-zone-shot anti-tank rockets. They are the designated tank killers. They don't advance in formation. They don't use cover. They just charge. A screaming, fanatical, disorganized mob running straight at the American machine guns that are now being set up on the bridge. My God, Crusade says, kneeling beside Rourke. They're not even soldiers. Fire, a lieutenant yells. It's not a fight, it's a slaughter. The American, 30 caliber machine guns open up, and the charge dissolves. The boys and old men are torn apart in seconds. They don't even get close. Rourke watches, his finger on the trigger, but he doesn't fire. He can't. The shock, which he thought was long gone, is back. This is the last defense of Germany. This is the people's storm. He sees one boy, maybe 13, his brown shirt soaked in blood, still trying to crawl forward, dragging his Panzerfaust. He's trying to aim it at the bridge. A single shot from a GI's M1 ends it. The GIs have crossed the Rhine. They have broken the back of the Third Reich, and they were met not by the Aryan Superman, but by a busload of grandfathers and children. The professional German war machine hasn't just been defeated, it has ceased to exist. April 1st, 1945, a crossroads near the town of Paderborn, deep in the heart of Westphalia. The war has changed. It's no longer measured in yards of mud or individual houses. It's measured in miles, dozens of miles, every single day. After breaking out of the Remagen bridgehead, the 9th Armoured Division has become a steel torrent, racing across the German countryside. They, along with the First Army, have just linked up with the 9th Army. They have encircled the entire German Army Group B. They have created the Ruhr Pocket. Inside that pocket are 300,000 German soldiers. Private Rourke is not riding on a half-track anymore. He's standing guard on the side of a highway, his M1 Garand slung comfortably over his shoulder. The clip is full, but the safety is on. The fighting is over, at least here. The new war is one of logistics and processing. In front of him, there is a river, not of water, but of people. A flowing, shuffling, endless column of grey uniforms, stretching for miles in both directions. It's the sound of thousands of boots, shoes, and rags scuffing on asphalt. These are the surrendering Germans. Rourke and Sergeant Crusade stand with a handful of other GIs, watching them pass. There are no machine gun nests. There is no defiance. There is only exhaustion. At first, they see the older Menther Volkssturm again. Men in their 50-seconds and 60-seconds, their faces etched with the shame of this final, pathetic defeat. They look like Rourke's own uncles, dressed in mismatched uniforms, carrying suitcases. But then, the main body of the army arrives, and the GIs fall silent. They are children. Not a few, not a squad, but thousands, an entire generation. Rourke watches, his jaw slack. He sees boys who cannot possibly have started shaving, boys so small the steel Stahlhelm helmet wobbles on their head, covering their eyes. They are Flakhelfer, anti-aircraft helpers, kids pulled from the 7th grade, still wearing their Hitlerjugend blue-grey uniforms. They are 15, 14, 13 years old. Some are even younger. They are mixed in with the remnants of the regular Wehrmacht and the SS, the real Supermen, who now look hollow-eyed and beaten, their camouflaged smocks torn, their arrogance long gone. But it's the children who draw every eye. Look at this, Crusade murmurs, his voice a low growl. He's smoking his last cigarette. Just look at it. A boy, who Rourke swears cannot be older than 12, limps by. He's wearing a man's greatcoat that drags on the ground. He's using a stick as a cane. He looks up at Rourke, his blue eyes wide with terror, not fanaticism. He's just a lost kid. Another group of Hitlerjugend walks by. They are trying to maintain their military discipline, marching in a ragged column, led by a 6-year-old with a high, cracking voice. They look like a Boy Scout troop that has just walked through hell. They are starving, their faces are gaunt, their cheeks hollow. A 4-year-old, his face covered in soot and tears, steps out of the column. He walks right up to Private Miller, who is standing nearby, holding his BAR. The boy's hands are shaking. He reaches into his boot and pulls out a wicked-looking Hitlerjugend knife, the one with the swastika emblem on the hilt. He holds it out, handle first. Then, in broken schoolbook English, he says, "Bit, chocolate, please, I have hunger." Miller, the tough-as-nails BAR gunner, just stares at the knife, then at the boy's face. He looks at Rourke, completely lost. He slowly slings his BAR, reaches into his pack, and pulls out a D-ration bar. He hands it to the boy. The boy drops the knife, grabs the chocolate, and bursts into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. Rourke turns away. The shock he felt in the Hürtgen, in Rheinberg, at Remagen was nothing like this. That was the shock of a single, brutal encounter. This is the shock of a civilization's suicide. This was the great secret. This was what the Nazi propaganda had been hiding. The total war wasn't a metaphor. The Reich had literally run out of men. It had taken its children, given them 6 0-year-old rifles and one-shot rockets, and thrown them in front of American Sherman tanks. All this time, Rourke says, his voice thick, "We were scared of this." Crusade takes a long drag, his knuckles white. "No, Rourke, we were scared of the idea, the propaganda, the master race. We were scared of the men who did this to them." He gestures with his cigarette at the river of boys. "They told him they were supermen. They told him they were wolves. They're just kids. And they believed it." He flicks the butt onto the road. The real monsters weren't the ones in the trenches. They were the ones in Berlin who sent them there. The GIs had landed in Normandy, expecting to fight the most professional, elite, and ruthless army in modern history. And they had. But they had beaten that army. And what was left was this. The American soldiers, hardened, cynical, and exhausted, were not liberators or conquerors today. They were the stunned witnesses to the final, pathetic, and horrifying truth of the Third Reich. The Superman was a lie. All that was left was the teenager.